This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The Digest as we continue all the way to episode 486. Fiveish Fangirls podcast, but in humanity's darkest hour, sometimes the greatest heroes are the friends who accept us for who we really are. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like a heroic with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bengal.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last week in January.
Yes, hard to
It's
believe.
been like the longest and shortest month all at the same time.
Exactly. Somebody said, how many more weeks / months is it until the end of January?
Yeah.
Because sometimes a week seems like a month, and
Yeah, oh my God. Especially
a month
with this
seems
weather.
like a week. Yeah.
It's like, how
Mother
many more
Nature.
days till I get to see the sun?
Yeah, it's like, Mother Nature, please stop imbibing in your adult beverages. Let's make some sense here with your weather patterns.
But where's the fun in that?
I know.
Well, we do have a little bit of news to cover, including some. It's not a person, but I guess technically it's still kind of 10 o'clock news. What are we calling it if it's not related to a person, but a thing? Does that make it 9:30 news?
9:59.
Yeah, 9:59.
9:59 news. 9:50. There we go. Yes. 9:59 news is we have gotten the official announcement there will not be a PopCon event in Louisville this year. So time will tell if we get one in the future. Watch this space. So, yeah. So, Indie PopCon, the only PopCon that will be occurring this year as far as anybody knows. Kind of sad. Just because, I'm down for any and all PopCon related events.
You've been going there for how many years running?
Every single one. I've been to every single PopCon event they have had. So every single indie, both Louisville and Fort Wayne. I've yet to miss a PopCon convention. But it just things weren't just not going right in Louisville, unfortunately. So you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. When what is it? The definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yes. Yep.
So, although I'm pretty sure whoever coined that, which I know a lot of people attribute it to Einstein, but I don't think that's ever necessarily. Yeah, it's probably actually somebody else. But I'm pretty sure whoever coined that phrase obviously did it well before Candy Crush had been invented.
Yeah.
So, because you can do the same thing over and over and over again, and sometimes get a different result. So
yes. I don't know how many times I've rage quit on certain levels, deleted the app, and then it's like, okay, year and a half later, all right, I'm gonna come back and hey, lo and behold, I can clear that level. Sweet. Or the app took pity on me and like, oh hey, considering you came back after being so long, here's a whole little free gifty pouch, and hey, you got some extra bonuses that you can use.
That will get you going.
It will get you past this level.
Yep. Any hoozles, plan your calendars accordingly. So, Indie PopCon is at the end of June this year. So, they made a crap ton of guest announcements over the holidays.
Yep.
Like, and 99.999% of them were voice actors, which means I know nothing. I know nothing about nobody. Because I watched like the same show, 3 shows over and over and over again. That's about it. So, anyway, so there is that. And then moving on to other news, we have got this year's Academy Award nominees. So, nothing really surprising. So, at least as far as number nominations and categories and stuff, your top nominees are Amelia Perez, A Complete Unknown, and Conclave. And Amelia Perez with 13. Although its lead, Carla Sofia Gascon, is the first transgender woman to be nominated in any acting category. So, look at that. I can't say I've heard very good things about the movie. But I will, from my personal opinion, I will give them kudos that they're telling the story about a transgender woman, and the person playing the lead role is a transgender woman. So, yeah, get a thumbs up from me for that.
Yes.
So, and so behind those, The Brutalist and Wicked both got 10 nominations. You got. It is also nice to see a variation as far as studios. So, like, you've got A24 in there, which, they've won 2 Best Pictures with both Moonlight and Everything Everywhere All at Once. But still, you got Netflix in there, you got Amazon. Let's see which one about Amazon as a production studio, but whatever. But still, that's kind of nice. Both of our Wicked leads got nominated. Cynthia Erivo in Best Actress, and then Ariana Grande in Supporting Actress. That yeah, not anything super surprising, to be honest with you. So, of course, when you get down to your technical awards, that's where you start seeing stuff that, we kind of care about. Dune Part 2 for cinematography.
Right.
Gladiator 2 costume design. Wicked also for costume design. Wicked for film editing. Production design. Original score. That's cool. And of course, that's right now the Oscars are still scheduled to take place on March 2nd. Obviously, still subject to change.
Right.
Last I heard, parts of California still on fire.
Yep.
So
And rain is coming in, and who knows, that might
that
lead to
is true.
landslides.
Yes, they have gotten some rain. At least I've got one friend that lives in LA, and at least where he was, they were getting rain. Now, even just Los Angeles as a city is very large, and it could be raining on one side of the city and completely sun shining on the other.
Exactly.
So there are times where I have gone from where I live. This is just south of downtown Indianapolis, and driven downtown, and it's like driving through a wall into rain, where it's like no rain, no rain, no rain. Whew, downpour.
Yep.
So
Same here. Same
it's
here.
like
My
a
side.
curtain. Yeah.
Yep.
Go into
My
a
side.
waterfall.
I can be going to the east side of town. Everything's perfectly fine. When I hit the west side, boom,
Mm-hmm.
an exact opposite. So, yep, it can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rained where I live and not been raining at my mom's house. She lives less than a mile away.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. But at this point, moisture is good wherever you can get it out in California. Yep. So,
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would just pencil in that,
Date.
watching the Oscars in pencil just in case.
Yeah.
And that being said, yes, we are having our competition again this year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Teams have already been divvied up.
Yep.
And now it is just a matter of waiting to see where the chips fall with the other competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we already had the Gold Globes, but we still have the SAG Awards and the BAFTAs.
Yeah.
To give us a possible idea of where things might be going. So this year could be interesting. I think this year could be interesting. I don't think there's necessarily.
There's no real major standout.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like Amelia Perez seems to be has the momentum right now, but even then, there's still awards going out to other things. I find it interesting though that Sebastian Stan, who won a Golden Globe recently, won his Golden Globe for one thing. Yeah, he's nominated for an Oscar, but it's for the other thing that he did.
Interesting.
It's interesting. So both were movies, so I don't know why they decided to campaign for one award and then I guess the other for the other. Hoping that he could win both. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? So, any hoozles, that is that really for the news. For some reason, I thought there was something else I needed to add to the news, but I could be hallucinating. Who knows? With that, we'll move on to feedback.
Yes.
So, got some feedback from Shalane.
Yay.
First up, and she says some other movies celebrating anniversaries this year include the movie 9 to 5 and Xanadu, and of course How to Train Your Dragon, which is also getting its live action remake. Though I hope it's the only one they make.
Yeah.
And then going back talking about John Chu as a director, apparently he's directing a movie adaptation of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Interesting.
Which apparently is going to be on some streaming service. So, apparently he's also directing a Britney Spears biopic. Apparently it's going to be titled the same title as her book. Reminder of some biographical films about famous singers: Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury / Queen, Rocket Man, which of course Elton John, I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston, Elvis Presley. Apparently there's a Michael Jackson biopic starring his nephew.
I think that's in the works or it's out some. I haven't seen it though.
I don't think it's been released yet. She says releasing sometime this year. So
okay.
Those are modern biopics about famous singers. Granted, there have been a lot throughout history. So, of course, there's Walk the Line.
Yeah.
Johnny and June Cash.
The Doors.
Yes, The Doors. There was, I can't remember the name of it, but I'd watched it. This was several years ago. But it was, I want to say it was Zoe Saldana was the lead. It's about Nina Simone.
Yep.
So,
and then there was one about Bob Dylan, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
another one that came out about Bob Dylan.
Yes.
With different actors playing him.
Yes. There's lots of biopics out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's always clamoring to learn more about celebrities, even if sometimes there is some artistic interpretation on how history occurred.
And interpretation or artistic license, one of the two.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how you want to look at it.
Get it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of depends on whether it's positive or negative.
Uh-huh.
One of those is a bit more positive than the other.
Exactly.
Yep. She said some biopics I would love to see. The Spice Girls. But we have Spice World. That's good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
With celebrating
Especially with Meatloaf as their bus driver. I love you
Yeah.
both, but I wouldn't do anything for that.
Yeah, especially considering what I just saw that movie celebrating its 30th anniversary.
They don't say it.
I know. I'm sorry, world. Baby Spice, not so baby anymore. In Sync. Prince would be pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure that his estate has got any opportunity for that on lockdown.
Yeah.
So that's not happening anytime soon. I don't think so.
No.
David Bowie. Love to see a David Bowie biopic.
I'm surprised there hasn't been one yet.
I know. And Dolly Parton, which Dolly Parton would be pretty cool as well. So it's not necessarily a biopic, but there's like a lifetime type movie that's loosely based on her life that it is called like The Coat of Many Colors or something like that. Not to be confused with Joseph and his Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Those are two different things. She continues, speaking of Wicked, I was right. It's been nominated for a ton of Oscars this year. That's funny. Gladiator 2 did get nominated for Best Picture, but did snag one Oscar nomination. Yeah, well, nobody asked for that Gladiator 2. Except for like 5 people. And one of them was not me. For Stars Born. I didn't like the first Gladiator. You can go listen to that episode on Gold Standard. For Stars Born, I read some interesting casting choices. Female leads considered Beyonce, Adele, Rihanna, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, Jennifer Lopez, and Shakira. Some of those I can maybe see. Some of them not so much.
Right.
Male leads considered Will Smith, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Christian Bale.
Christian Bale is probably the only one I could see out of all of those.
Yeah.
That's just me, though. That's just me, though.
I don't know how well Christian Bale can carry a tune now.
Right.
But back in the day, he was in a certain Disney musical film that we really should cover one of these days. Although I'd like to see the stage version, not just the film version. But what are you gonna do? So while any of these options might have worked, I think Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper were absolutely perfect in their roles. Yes, they were. She answered the question, didn't a Daredevil trailer drop? Yes, it did. Yes, there was a new trailer for Daredevil Born Again. And it looks so good. I mean, it looks brutal, but that's fully what I expect from Daredevil.
Right.
So,
yes.
I mean, definitely
kind of picking up where Netflix left off,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, Disney is definitely not,
they're starting to get into their comfort zone with the
violence,
the more adult parent content.
Yeah. I was funny because I was going through some of my old TikToks and I came across one from like 3 years ago or something. And I think it was a random like like a rapid fire like movie Q&A or like questionnaire thing. Like the disembodied voice would ask a question, then you'd give your answer or whatever. And one of the question was, should the next Deadpool movie be PG-13? And I said absolutely hell no. Because there's some people were thinking that they might have to do that now that Disney owns Deadpool. I was like, no, it needs to be rated R, and that's exactly what happened. So
Yep.
I was right. Those overthinking they were gonna censor Deadpool, no, not today.
Nope.
Not today. But yes, the Daredevil trailer looks really good. I'm excited to see Daredevil back more than just in, She-Hulk. Not that I didn't like, because I really liked him in She-Hulk, but also there's also part of me that the entire time in the back of my head I'm like, okay, are any of the Defenders going to show up? Or any of the Defenders going to show up? Because I got that running in my mind, like, all right, come on, Jessica Jones, Jessica Jones.
Come on, avocados. Come on, avocados.
Yes!
Come on, please, we need them.
Come on, Luke Cage, Luke Cage, Luke Cage.
Exactly.
Not that I'm biased or anything. But anyway. Thank you, Shalay, for your feedback. Obviously, when it comes to some Marvel characters, I have preferences of one over the other. Speaking of which, now actually, we do have another little bit of feedback. This was a comment on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
So we got a comment from Brian commented on our review of Ted Lasso. He said,
nice.
I really enjoyed this show. Ted was heartwarming without being sappy or two-dimensional. The rest of the characters had depth and were intriguing, making for a wonderful show. I completely agree.
Yes.
Thank you, Shalane and Brian, for your feedback. All right. Now, moving on to more Marvel with our third and unfortunately at the moment final season of Marvel's What If. So, for those who may be living under a rock and have no idea what we're talking about, Marvel has a series of comic books called What If, where they essentially they traipse the multiverse and do stories of what if things changed in the versus the Marvel new universe that we know and are very familiar with, the MCU. If in some cases some things changed, some plot lines, at least the first season, that was the idea, is the story, a lot of the stories that we knew, what would it look like if something changed? Like, what if Peggy became the super soldier? What if Thor was an only child and Loki had never been, picked up by Odin, that sort of thing. So last season they started to divert from that, although they did continue some of the Peggy. So the Peggy has been the one thing that continues through all three seasons.
The common plot thread, in a way.
Yeah, and her existence, and eventually her meeting the Watcher, through circumstances. And she becomes aware of the Watcher, and the Watcher becomes aware that she's aware of the Watcher. And they develop a friendship, essentially. And that all culminates into this final season, where some things some of them are kind of standalone, but as you watch throughout this season, you will see that the Watcher is a bit like the Doctor and can't just, like the Time
Leave things
Lords are
be.
like, the Watchers in general are supposed to be very much like the Time Lords. They're just supposed
hands
to
off.
observe
Mm-hmm.
and not meddle and let
The chips
time
fall where they may.
let time play out however it's supposed to. But there's always got to be that one in the in the organization, in the whatever you want to call it, that can't help themselves.
Yep. Rules
and
be
they
damned.
and they have to meddle.
Mhm.
And
You,
it
you
makes
tell them not to push the button, they want to push the button.
they want to push the button. Exactly. And that's exactly what happens here. Is the
Mhm.
Watcher decides, nah, I'm gonna start pushing buttons. And
Yep.
it gets a little ugly. So, but that being said, this series is not long. I mean, there's 3
No.
seasons. It's like 8 episodes
I believe
max, I
so.
think,
Yeah.
per
Yeah.
season. The episodes are like not even 30 minutes once you take out like the credits and everything.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Yeah, that's one thing with the especially the MCU, Disney Plus, although this has also been the case with some of the Star Wars stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to say no, you can't give people that worked on something credit and make sure that it can be seen. Uh, but good gravy, some of these shows have a lot of people working on them and make for very long credits.
Yes.
So, I'm just saying, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, whoever may be listening, that while mid and post credit scenes maybe have gotten a little old, maybe some folks are just not um necessarily into them, as it were. I'd just say it maybe having like other stuff to look at besides just like concept art while the credits roll might make it a bit more entertaining. And, otherwise everyone's gonna just want to skip ahead to the next episode, and that defeats the purpose of being able to make sure that all the hardworking people that work on these shows get the credit where the credit's due. I'm just saying. Yeah. You can take that and interpret that however you will. Powers that be. That's my 2 cents. Because you know me, I'll sit through the credits at a Marvel movie.
Yep.
But at home, it's like I got places to be. I got stuff to do.
I know where that fast forward button is, and I know exactly
I
when
got
to
a fast
do the
forward
pause
button. It's like, you don't
button.
want me to use the fast forward button? You gotta give me a reason. Anyway, so yeah, it's not a long series, so it's really easy to binge. I did it in like an afternoon. So, or an evening. Like I got home from a day out and was like, all right, time for food, and there you go. So yeah, season of we have an interesting. I will give him this, the fantastic thing with not only What If, but just, and I've said this before with the multiverse, is that once you throw the idea of the multiverse and variations of things and things playing out differently, it gives you a lot of room to play. And play they did. Once we had stepped away from anything that was like really closely connected to the MCU and like the Infinity Saga as we knew it, yeah, that had played out obviously the way it did in Infinity War and Endgame. I think they just kind of gave him carte blanche to be like, okay, go play in the sandbox. Here's the comics you can reference. Uh, and that's exactly what they did. So, So first up we get what if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? And essentially we're getting the Marvel version of Godzilla. Except Godzilla is the Hulk. So if you're a fan of Godzilla movies or things like what are they called? Gungams? The the big kind of Power Ranger type
Gundams?
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gundam.
Yeah, Gundams.
Mhm.
Then you will like this. So we get a combination of Sam, Monica Rambeau, Bucky Barnes, Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, Alexei, Melina Vostokov, Shang-Chi, and from Wakanda. And yeah, most of everybody came back to do the voices. So we got Anthony Mackie, Ruffalo, Tiana Paris, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Shimu Liu, and Oscar Isaac back doing their characters, which it wasn't until they were in the middle of the fight and he said something about Khonshu that I was like, oh yeah, Moon Knight. Because the entire time I was like, this guy looks like Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he look like Oscar Isaac? I completely forgot about Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm. Because it is him.
I know, but I completely forgot. Oh, goodness.
Well, yeah, that show which I kind of enjoyed. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I forgot about that.
About you.
I'm so sorry, Oscar Isaac. I won't forget about you again.
We need a season 2 so we don't forget you.
Exactly. That's what
Right?
it is. It's been so long. It has been so long since we've seen Moon Knight. So, that's what I'm going to blame it on. Is the lack of a second season.
Yeah. Marvel, if you don't want us to forget certain characters, make sure after a certain time span that you bring out another season or do something so we
really
remember
Right?
it. Instead of like, hey, who's this dude?
Yeah. So yeah, Banner figures out a way to strip the gamma radiation from himself, but that in itself turns into this giant monster. A giant kaiju. That itself could spawn almost gremlin like its own army of slightly smaller gamma monsters, but still very large. And of course, Banner's been off the grid as soon as he was free from the Hulk, and Sam has to try to convince him to come and help. And thanks to Bruce and his genius, they are able to at least take down the army of the Gamma, the smaller Gamma, once they go like full Voltron / Megazord. Because everybody's got like a kind of a Hulk stomper, like mech suit that they're running around in that looks kind of like who they are, like their superhero personality. But of course, Bruce has to come along in his like super Hulk Godzilla form to help take down the big baddie. So but yeah, if you're a fan of the Japanese like monster fight type stuff, then you'll get a kick out of this. I did like the when Sam goes to find Bruce, he finds him living in the jungle somewhere, which is a nice little nod to um Bruce's like tropical hideaway that we see in She-Hulk. um Episode 2, probably my favorite. One of my favorites. I don't know. It's a tie. It's a tie between this one and another one that we'll get to of my favorite for this particular season. But it's What
Oh
If
yes.
Agatha
Mhm.
Harkness went to Hollywood.
Oh yes.
So this is Agatha Harkness in the 1930s. So, you very much silent pictures, but still like the big, like Bubsy Berkeley type, over the top dance spectacles, girls and feathers and that sort of thing. Um, Type of cinema. And this makes for this is an interesting combination as well, because we've got Agatha Harkness and the Eternals.
Mhm.
So Marvel has not given up on the Eternals, folks.
No, they have
They're
not.
still a thing. Though, but it turns out that there is a um a celestial buried in the Earth's core, which we knew that. But Agatha has wants uh to to take that power,
Mhm.
and it like she does, because Agatha always wants more power. Um,
Mhm.
and but to do it, she has to do a particular ritual and spell, and she realizes the best way to do it is if she's in this big flashy movie where she
Mhm.
plays like, like this otherworldly like goddess who is going to do things like, chant Latin and stuff anyway. And who is directing and filming this movie? Of course, nobody but Howard Stark,
Mhm.
much to Jarvis's chagrin.
Yes. Jarvis does not want Howard anywhere near this project, but you
Yeah,
can't say no to
because
Howard Stark.
yeah, and of course, Howard Stark in this is very much like Howard Hughes.
Yes. Mhm. Yes.
Without the OCD. But he is
Mhm.
very like, eccentric. Uh,
Mhm.
so you can tell that everybody was just like, even though, they're just doing the voices of these characters, that everyone is just like chewing the scenery
Yeah, they're having a blast.
with this. Yeah, because we got Catherine Hahn,
Yeah.
as Agatha. Um, oh, excuse me. The only Eternal that we actually get to see properly is Kingo, which is
Mhm.
Kumail Nanjiani. Good to see him again. If you
Yes.
remember, Kingo has been living on Earth being a Bollywood star.
Yes.
Oh, and then when he reaches, so much time passes, he becomes that kid that his star's like son. He's
Yeah.
just playing his own kid for it,
Yeah.
ages.
Son,
Um,
grandfather, grandson, you name
yeah,
it.
yeah. Um, and of course we got Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark. The
Mhm.
more this gets, because Agatha realizes she needs Kingo
Mhm.
help, under the pretense that he will come in and he will be her co-star, and there's this huge dance battle with Agatha and all of her backup dancers, all in their very, like I said, Bubsy Berkeley outfits, doing big flashy dance number, and then Kingo comes in with all his backup dancers, and it's this huge Bollywood dance dance that they're doing. They're having this dance battle, trying to accentuate, she's got runes painted all over the sets and everything, and like eventually the powers start to come out, and they're throwing all sorts of fireballs and shit at each other, and Howard's just cranking the camera like it's a Like he is eating it.
Mhm.
It's like, and then poor Jarvis again, James D'Arcy, because really you can't get anyone else to do, actual Jarvis, the person that was Jarvis, other than Jarvis himself, James D'Arcy, fresh off of Agent Carter, among other things. 'Cause how else can you do Howard Stark's, probably, while still handsomely paid, probably still grossly underpaid, uh butler, valet, number one sidekick, it puts up with his boss's wacky
Mhm.
ideas. Um but yeah, it's a whole thing, and then
Mhm.
they realize that they've got to that eventually, that while Agatha has the power, that also means that Erisham is going to come to destroy Earth. And who else can fight a celestial? Where, another celestial. So we get like celestial-ish Agatha fighting in the starlit sky over Griffith Observatory in
Mhm.
the Hollywood Hills. Oh goodness, the whole thing is just nuts.
Yeah.
Um, it's just, oh my goodness, it was so good. It was so good. You could just feel like, we talked about Agatha all along, somewhat recently, and of course her in WandaVision, that just Catherine Hahn in this role is, she just made for
Mhm.
Agatha Harkness. She just does Agatha just, oh, so good. Um and again, the Eternals, what?
Yeah.
They're not dead, folks. Well, some of them are dead. Well, one of
Yeah.
them's dead. Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Who knows?
I mean, you name a character Icarus, what do you expect?
Yeah. Mhm. Well, and then one of the eternal, or one of the that they were trying, you replace one of the vowels and it sounds like the five-headed dragon from Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Tiamat, Tiamat, not to
Yeah.
spelling is exactly the same minus a vowel.
Yeah. Episode 3, getting a bit more serious again. What if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier?
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to 1991, to
Mm-hmm.
that fateful night where
Yes.
the Winter Soldier has been ordered to kill Howard and Maria Stark and steal the super soldier serum that is in their vehicle. But in this universe, a certain Red Guardian slash foster father to
Mm-hmm.
a certain Black Widow that we will come to know and love down the line, while he's still the Red Guardian. But it's, I think, slowly not becoming less of the poster child for that type of duty now that they have the Winter Soldier. Um, but he finds out he finds out about the mission and ends up going there at the same time, and Alexei fashion completely
Mm-hmm.
bungles it up so that the Starks are not killed. And then we get kind of a buddy. It's like, I mean, there's some comedy because, if you've seen, the Black Widow movie, um you know how enthusiastic Alexei is, about everything, and especially his home country of Mother Russia. He's a
Mm-hmm.
very proud Russian, and will not let anyone take that away from him. But everything he does in his mind has to be done in a way that brings glory to Russia,
Mm-hmm.
to Mother Russia. So yeah, they end up having to make a run for it. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a road trip that really only one of them was happy to make. How
Right.
about
Yeah.
because they need to get to Las Vegas because supposedly there is this like Russian mastermind that if Lexi can get to them that they'll be able to fix everything, but they have to get to the Rook, known as the Rook. So they have to get Las Vegas, and of course there's a whole bunch of shenanigans that happen with them stealing cars and getting stopped because they're being pursued by Shield. But it's not the Shield that we would expect because it's Lawrence Fishburne back as Bill Foster from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Uh, of course, David Harbour as Alexei. Of course, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. And we get a new voice. I mean, new to this, obviously. Yeah, depending on what you watch, you know her voice, America Ferrera,
Mm-hmm.
as a park ranger, Park Ranger Morales, ends up becoming Bill Foster's sidekick throughout this entire thing. But it turns out that the Rook is nobody but Obadiah Stane, and apparently this is considered closing a loophole that has been around since Captain America Civil War, which is why did they sick the Winter Soldier on the Starks in the first place? Obadiah Stane, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
And not shocked
Still,
by that, honestly.
nope.
Yes.
Still a rotten piece of work in whatever multiverse.
Stane, at least in this universe, made a deal with the Russians to kill the Starks, and in return, they could have the super soldier serum. And in theory, that would have put Stane in charge of Stark Industries because this is 1991, so Tony is not old enough yet to gain control of the company. So yeah, Obadiah has been trying to kill pretty much anyone with the last name Stark for a very long time. So in this universe, he tries to kill Tony's parents. In our universe, he tries to kill Tony himself. Both times by hiring someone else to do it. Because he's not going to do the dirty work.
No. And Obadiah, you should know by now. If you
Yeah.
want the job done properly,
Yeah.
you should be the one doing it.
So thankfully Obadiah meets just as a fantastic end in this as he does in Iron Man.
Yep.
Goes flying out a window from very, very high floor in a Las Vegas hotel.
Almost kind of like a certain Hans Gruber falling off the Nakatomi Tower.
Yeah. Onto the concrete. I like how I think it was America Ferrera is like, I think that guy's dead. I'm like, he better be.
You did? Yeah,
Believe me, trust me, we're all better off if he is.
Uh-huh.
This is not one death that anybody's going to be losing any sleep over.
Yep. This is one where we would highly suggest salting and burning.
Yes. So, eventually Alexei and Bucky form a little bit of a friendship, but then they get cornered. And Bucky is going to get, they're going to activate the Winter Soldier, to make him fully compliant. And, but in the meantime, he and Alexei have a moment. And then Bucky insists that Alexei is dead, like he was ordered to do. But it turns out that Alexei has moved to somewhere in the United States and taken on his an American persona and is teaching gym at like an elementary school, scaring the children. Until Bill Foster shows up and offers him his shield back and says that they need him to suit up, and he ends up at the Battle of New York.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in this universe, Bill Foster is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of Nick Fury. Or at least, Bill Foster is doing the fulfilling the role that Nick Fury would fill. Maybe Fury's too high up to be going around. I don't know. They didn't mention that. But that's okay, because we get Nick Fury in the next one, which is my other favorite one from this entire series. Where we go back to being a little ridiculous and funny. And it's what if Howard the Duck got hitched?
We get the return of Darcy.
Yay! Because if anyone was going to marry Howard the Duck, it is Darcy Lewis.
Yes, it is.
Yes, apparently, in the episode "What If Thor Was an Only Child," they were at that party and met and shared a plate of nachos, and like you do in Vegas, they got married, and when we meet up with them, Darcy has just laid an egg. 9 hours of labor, and she's laid an egg. And then apparently everybody wants this egg because apparently Darcy gave birth at the same time the convergence happened, and there's supposedly a being of great power was foretold to be born or something. So then there's this whole just like thing of various people trying to get their hands on their baby, including the Grandmaster.
Yes. Who wants to turn the baby into an omelet? Let's just put it that way.
Yes. So not, unfortunately, Jeff Goldblum doing the voice, but that's okay.
But they had somebody who sounded very, very,
yes,
very close.
His name is Matt Friend, and his name is spelled friend with the I, which is really
so no
weird
relation.
to see.
Yeah.
So no relation, because his has the I. I follow him on TikTok. He's on a number of places, but if you're on TikTok, and I believe he's on Instagram as well, follow him. He just does impressions, celebrity impressions, and he's a really, really good. And yeah, his Jeff Goldblum is very good. There's video of him doing Jeff Goldblum to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he's got like a whole, in fact, I think it's a newish video on his TikTok as we're recording this. It's like a compilation of him doing celebrity voices with said celebrity in front of him. And most of them are quite impressed. And some of them think actually they do a better than they do. So
You know what I'm checking out for we're done recording.
Yeah.
Me too.
But yeah, he does a really good Jeff Goldblum. So the good pick. But yeah, the Grandmaster wants to take the baby and turn it into an omelet. Yondu steals it, like Yondu does. And that is Michael Rooker. And we did get Rooker back. The Shield gets involved, but in this case it is Nick Fury and Phil.
Yes. When I saw this, I was like, "Oh boy, Rachel is going to be so happy."
Oh, we get Samuel Jackson.
I know I'm going to be hearing her scream all the way from Indiana.
I love Clark Gregg back as Phil Coulson, because you can't have Fury without Coulson.
Nope.
Plus Darcy and Coulson have a history. He did try to steal her iPod, so
that's true. I mean, it's like a BLT. You know, all three of them have to be together.
Yes, I was like, so yeah, if you heard squealing over the weekend from my general area, that's me. Yandu had stolen it to give it to well, in theory it's supposed to be the collector because he went to nowhere. And of course we have to get
Right.
that joke because some people don't know that nowhere is the name of a place.
Yep, nowhere is actually a place. Yeah.
Right, but the collector is not there because Caecilius has gotten rid of the collector and wants the egg for himself because of course Caecilius would want that. So,
If somebody
and
wants to make a deal with somebody.
yeah, well, Caecilius wants it to use the egg as a host body for Dormammu.
Right, like I said, hence the deal making. Yeah.
Yes. Like Dormammu, in this case, Dormammu is not bargaining with anybody.
Nope.
Dormammu wants a body. Caecilius is gonna get it for him. Thankfully, Darcy and Howard are able to save their baby and decide to take refuge on Jotunheim, where Frost Giant Loki lives. And apparently Loki, as son of the king of the heir to the throne of the Jotunheim, has to prove his worth by creating a ski resort. So,
With or without the hot cocoa, still
yeah.
to be determined.
Well, considering this is still a few more days before the grand opening, they're not quite ready yet when Darcy and Howard's pursuers show up. And it kind of looks like the battle in Endgame,
Yes.
except it's a
It wasn't
bunch
just
of
me.
bad guys.
Yeah.
You've got the Grandmaster, you've got Caecilius and Dormammu. Obviously Nick and Phil are technically the good guys, but of course Shield, anytime they get their hands on something that seems otherworldly, they think that it's their job to protect the world from it. So they're doing what Shield does.
Yeah.
You've got
Well, you got Howard and Darcy themselves as the concerned
yes,
parent, like
yeah,
not
it's a
our
concerned best.
baby, you
Yeah,
blankly blank leaps.
yeah. You've got Malekith, Thor, the second Thor. So Zeus from Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos in the Black Order. Well, first it's just the Black Order because it's Ebony Maw. And he calls Thanos when he realized that he's been told that the egg is supposed to contain a great power, even though at
Hey,
this point
boss.
Thanos is still looking for. When Thanos shows up, he's like, "Oh, the Infinity Stones! Did you find it?" And he's like, and he's looking at Ebony Maw, and he's all like, and Ebony Maw's like, "It's supposed to be ultra powerful."
It's an egg.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, so they're like this big old chase in the snow ski resort on Jotunheim, and they get cornered, and they're just like, poor Howard and Darcy are just like, what do we do? And they just decide that they're gonna start singing to their baby, and apparently the baby really likes "Kisses I Was Made for Loving You." So that's what they start singing, and apparently that is what makes the baby happy, even in egg, and egg kind of destroys all the bad guys, and it finally hatches. And it's a little girl named Birdie. And she's very cute as a baby.
Yes, she is.
She's a very cute baby.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks more human than Duck, but she does have some she does have some
duck traits.
Duck traits. But she's very cute.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah, it was like Birdie, very on the nose there. She's Duck. Although funnily enough, though, although I think it's spelled differently, but I'm pretty sure Birdie is the name of David George's youngest kid.
You might be right.
But I think it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, wait a minute. They steal that from David and Georgia.
Yeah, and David is in the MCU.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones. Bad guy.
Yeah. But anyway. That was
Mhm.
funny. That one was
Mhm.
that was funny too. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Darcy.
Mhm.
I love Kat Dennings as Darcy. So, yeah, a lot of people raised an eyebrow when they made the Howard the Duck movie. You know, the idea of a human
Mhm.
woman with the duck, but you know, here they took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Oh goodness! So that was my other favorite.
Yeah.
Um, and then what if the emergence destroyed the Earth? So in this case, the emergence did occur. The Eternals weren't there
Mhm.
to stop it, and the planet is literally fractured, and people are living on pieces that are floating in space, kind of near each other. Um, and in this particular world, it has been taken over by Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio.
Yep.
Um, aka Jake, give her back the damn scarf. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Mhm.
Uh um and he's using his illusions to essentially oppress everybody.
Mhm.
Um but there is a small group of rebels that are doing their best to try and stop him, and they end up coming across Riri Williams,
Mhm.
and they team up to try and stop Quentin Beck for good. Um, so, um, but we've got, of course, Riri Williams, uh, uh, who is, Dominic Thorne, not Jake Gyllenhaal, is Quentin Beck, Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter,
Mhm.
aka the Power Broker, a role that
Mhm.
she does well. Um, we've got Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and we have Wong, but it's not our Wongs. Yeah,
Right.
it's not
It's a
Benedict Wong.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we are introduced to three more Watchers. Again, apparently it's kind of like the Time Lords, where they have names that are kind of that are like titles.
Right.
So we have the Executioner, we have the Incarnate, and the Eminence. And the Eminence is voiced by Jason Isaacs, Mr. Malfoy,
Yes.
as it were. My father will hear about this.
Mm.
Um, so yeah. Uh, but apparently, along with, because in this world, Quentin Beck was able to overtake Stark Industries. He creates not the Iron Legion, but the Iron Federation, and they're kind of his like actual, you know, physical cronies. But he also has assistance from the White Vision as well. Um, and of course, his ability to make illusions makes fighting a little hard because you can't tell what's real and what's not until it's right upon you.
Mhm.
And it could be stabbing you in the guts, and then you're
Before
like,
you
oh,
know
that's
it's too
real.
late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, that one's
Mhm.
real. Through a number of circumstances, Riri is able to get her hands. She's able to kill White Vision, and is able to essentially turn it into a suit, and she becomes like this Vision synthroid hybrid type thing. And of course, you know, very much kind of the hero's journey. She reaches a low point, a very low point, and the Watcher told us at the beginning of the episode that he has watched in various universes. Yeah, the specifics have been different, but essentially it all ends the same way, where Riri is by herself and she reaches the lowest point of the low and eventually loses.
Mhm.
And it's gotten to him, essentially. He's kind of tired of watching the same depressing ending over and over and over again, and he interferes by giving Riri a little pep talk,
Nudge. Mm-hmm.
vocal pep nudge, and she's able to defeat him and is able to give all the survivors on their various bits of rock that they're living on some hope. But the other watchers realize what our watcher has done, and they're like, homie, sure, we
Not so
should have done
fast.
that.
Yeah, not so fast.
Yeah. But before we get to that, we have to go to 1872, the Old West, which that in itself is a series of Marvel comic books. Not just What If, but there is a series set in 1872. So it's essentially Marvel in the Midwest. The Wild Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the combination of Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting team up.
But apparently in at some point previously, uh Shang-Chi's sister had moved to America for a better life and was lost to this being evil person, bad guy known as the Hood. And the Hood has been going around enslaving Chinese immigrants, which you shouldn't enslave anybody, so
Nope.
that's bad. And now in 1872, Shang-Chi is teamed up with Kate Bishop. They want revenge. Shang-Chi wants to find out what happened to his sister. Kate Bishop wants revenge for killing her family. They meet a little boy who manages to is the one survivor of one of the Hoods raising of a town, and um they find out that the Hood and his cronies have been traveling via train, is able to travel even when there's not railroad tracks, and um they find that that's how they've been transporting the immigrants. They get brainwashed, and that's how they're kept enslaved until they're taken to where it is the Hood was going to take them to make them his little minions. Um, Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop end up splitting off along with their new friend, Jun Fan, and um, on the train, they get the train to stop, and Shang-Chi ends up confronting the Hood that turns out to be actually his sister. Who saw that coming? And I didn't. Um,
Nope.
yeah. So, but apparently she was able to steal the Hood's powers and took over. And she thinks by capturing all the other Chinese people that she's giving them a better life. It's one of those villain origin stories where they're like, no, I'm helping them. Like, no, you're not. And meanwhile, Kate meets Sonny Birch, who is working alongside the Hood, showing him how to and demonstrates on Kate how he's been able to capture all of these people by using a sound very much like reminds me a bit of way that they were using to um ensnare. It's not hypnotize, I guess is maybe the better term. It hypnotize folks in um Agent Carter in season 2. reminds me of something very similar, using sound as a way to hypnotize people. And um, Wyatt Russell is back as John Walker in there too.
Mhm.
He's not in it very long though, so but yeah, the once again the Watcher interferes by giving Junfan a literal physical help in this case. And uh Kate Bishop manages to with because the whole thing is that Shang-Chi will show up to help if somebody rings a bell 10 times. So the 10 rings, ringing a bell 10 times. It's kind of cute, it's kind of cheesy at the same time. So, but so because Shang-Chi is like, he's just ready to like give up. Because he doesn't want to have to destroy his sister. But thankfully our young hero is able to ring the bell on the train 10 times and snap him out of it. And then Kate Bishop also gets free because she was being hypnotized and is able to come out, and she kills the Hood slash Shang-Chi's sister, not realizing that that's who it was. So, but he doesn't hold any ill will towards Kate because he's like, you didn't kill my sister, the Hood did. So, but all the prisoners are free and off to do whatever they want, and she and Kate take off to be heroes elsewhere because it's like that's just one bad guy we took out, but we know there's more out there. So they ride off into the sunset. Now the other watchers have showed up to our Watcher and have told him that, dude, you are in big trouble. So our Ped's ultimate episode, what if the Watcher disappeared? Well, he is on trial in the fifth dimension. Elsewhere, Peggy Carter, who is on Earth 625 at that time, has teamed up with Kahori, if you remember from last season, and brand new character created, and a grown-up birdie. So new character. So we get another new character, a grown-up birdie. And Storm, the goddess of thunder. So this is a version of Storm from the X-Men who wields Mew Mew.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool.
Yes. Yes. When I saw that, I'm like, ooh, sweet.
Mm-hmm. So, but the ladies have teamed up to defeat a monster on that particular Earth. And helping out Nebula, who is apparently Nova Prime in this particular universe. So, welcome back, Karen Gillan. And they find the shards from where the universe, kind of the walls between the universe have cracked, and they realize that the Watcher is in trouble and they've got to help him. So first, they think if they can use the shards and imbue them with enough power that they can use it to kind of work their way into the fifth dimension. The first time doesn't work. The second time doesn't work. Um, and they realize that they need assistance for somebody who is able to traverse into the fifth dimension, and that is Infinity Ultron. Peggy, of course, being Peggy, goes off on her own, convinces that version of Ultron to help. He's able to take he's essentially had a change of heart.
Mhm.
So, because he achieved what he wanted, which was to destroy to create peace, because that's what Ultron was first created for, was a suit of armor around the world. Problem is, he destroyed everybody, and so now the only thing there is him. And he's like, I got what I wanted, and now I'm alone and bored. So essentially, he has a change of heart and realizes that, destroying everything just not necessarily give you the peace of mind that you're wanting. So,
Mhm.
so he uses the last shard because they only had 3, and is able to use it to send the ladies to the 5th dimension. But Peggy's gone missing, and they realize that she's probably there with the Watcher. So, and our last episode is What If? And we get a
Mhm.
little backstory for the Watcher. His name was Uatu, and we see when he gets to become the time that the Eminence gives him bestows on him the full Watcher title and all the trappings that go with it. He's on trial for not just the stuff we've seen in this season, but in previous seasons. He's been kind of meddling since the very beginning. Um, but all they decide that Peggy, the creation of Captain Carter, is like his biggest offense, and because of that, they think he should be destroyed, and so should Peggy. But then their friends show up, and they, of course, there's a big old fight, like you do. Watchers against Uatu and his superhero friends, and they end up kind of, it's not cornered, not literally cornered, but they end up in a pickle, and it seems like they're not going to get him out. And
Yeah.
in the process, of Watchers all like, well, there's one way you could get out of this, but you're kind of gonna have to take the oath of the Watcher and become Watchers
Right.
yourselves.
Mhm.
And they're all like, okay, fine, we'll deal with the consequences of that later. Just get us out
Yeah.
of here.
Yeah.
So that's what
Anything,
happens.
just get us out of here.
Yeah, so they all become Watchers, which of course the other Watchers are like, this is sacrilegious. You didn't go through the training and all that.
Mhm.
And they're like, we don't care. And of course that makes the fight a bit more even. But it still ends up to the point where Peggy ends up sacrificing herself, like you do,
Yeah.
to send all her friends and all the Watchers, including Uatu, to the universe where um Supreme Doctor Strange exists. Um, because in that universe, he is the universe. Essentially, he is a living universe, and therefore he controls everything that happens in there. Because he still has consciousness, and therefore he decides everything. And he decided that those Watchers, they don't have powers. They're just guys in robes. Um, and they kind of have a wake up moment, going, maybe there are different ways of looking at things. Um, you can watch. There's a difference between watching and actually looking, and seeing and absorbing and learning and growing. Something that the doctors were trying to teach us for over 60 years in the Time Lords still haven't learned. Uh,
Mhm.
it's very
Yeah.
Doctor Who-ish. It's very Doctor
Mhm.
Who-ish.
Yes.
So, of course, they have to say goodbye to Peggy, because
Mhm.
she's passed. But that Corey, Birdie, and Storm join Watu to join him and help watch over the multiverse. That's how it ends, which I think is pretty cool. So,
Yes.
and somewhere out there is a Stanley version of the Watcher
Yep.
waiting for his ride home.
Yeah. It's like, hey guys, I need a lift, and he's still
Yeah.
waiting.
But yeah, it was a fun season. You know, I'm kind of sad that it's over, just because yeah, I love the idea that they just have so much stuff to play with. You know, it's like we got everything from different Avenger team ups to Darcy and Howard the Duck getting married and having an egg.
Mhm.
uh you know, it's I mean, and there's all sorts of, if you look into it, there's all sorts of stories that they thought about and just, you know, for one reason or another just didn't do it. So at one point they wanted to have the Rocketeer make an appearance.
Ooh.
But uh copyright issues, and also Kevin Feige was said it would raise the question if Howard Hughes would exist in the MCU. I'm like, he does. His name's Howard Stark.
Or Stark, yeah.
It's like, he is the
Almost same
MCU's Howard
clan.
Hughes. Yeah.
Same clan, different vintage almost.
He's essentially Howard Hughes, just without the OCD.
Mm-hmm. Evil twin.
This Howard actually married the woman. Yeah. He,
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to marry, unlike
Yep.
Howard Hughes. But yeah, I read that and I'm like, yeah, Howard Hughes, Howard Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, you could consider those alternate realities as ones that happened because of the events in Loki season 1,
Mm-hmm.
with the killing of he who remains and the breaking of the sacred timeline.
Right.
This allows other versions of the MCU to exist and also connects the bigger multiverse. Yeah. The history that's directly connected, this drastically different but connected to what we know of the Infinity Saga. That's only season 1. Um so but the good news is we are getting a season of zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the potential is that if one of these particular stories has enough interest, that we could get a whole season built around him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So with the,
I
you know,
would I wouldn't mind seeing a Family Ties this version of with Howard, Darcy, and Birdie. You know, I'd watch it.
I want more movie star Agatha and Kingo.
Ooh, that too. Yep, I could. Yeah, I
And
could
it was
go. Mm-hmm.
just so good.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
As
kind of a
Howard
twist.
Stark said that her and about her and Kingo, that chemistry was hotter than the Hindenburg.
Uh-huh. I mean, I could see an I love Agatha. Agatha, you have some explaining to do each time.
I'm just saying.
I know,
You
but
know,
I mean, I like it. I like it. I like it.
yeah.
I'm just trying to
I'm
toss
just,
out ideas for.
yeah. I'm just saying in general,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some movies didn't do as well as others. Doesn't mean those characters have to go and sit on the sidelines waiting, hoping that they'll get called up.
Exactly.
We got the
Exactly.
Eternals. We got, well, I mean, we're getting the Red Guardian in the Thunderbolts movie. So,
Yeah.
David Harbour is like, wait, what am I doing? It's like,
Which
wait,
role am I
which
playing?
Russia, which version of Russia am I doing here? Is this Marvel Russia or is this Stranger Things Russia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes. Am I channeling Hopper or am I channeling
Alexi, what are we doing here?
Alexi?
Which
Yes.
is funny
Yes.
considering Alexi's American persona, Bob Toledo, that is David Harbour's actual voice.
Oh wow.
So I think maybe slightly played up for effect,
Yes.
but that is, obviously he does not have a Russian accent, so Alexei is a different voice, but still, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of wild, and it's like, but I don't think he necessarily uses that voice as Hopper. Hopper's got a little, although Hopper has baggage. Bob Toledo,
Yeah.
he's just happy to be there. So,
Mm-hmm.
it terrifies some kids in gym class. So, but yeah, this was fun. It was fun to see what they come up with. I think it's fun to see combinations we get of characters and scenarios. It just allows them to get in the sandbox and just be like, it's like taking like Legos and Lincoln Logs and what's something else you build with that like kids can play with. Sticking them in Minecraft and Roblox and just seeing what happens. I don't know. I'm not a kid. I don't play with kids' toys, at least not those. I don't know what kids are playing with these days. I know Minecraft is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we got the final season. We'll have to wait and see how I think they're probably gonna wait and see how Zombies does, and then
Yeah.
probably decide from there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, at least with the thing with Zombies, is also Zombies has its own run in the
Right.
comics, so there's stuff for them to pull from. So they
Exactly.
could potentially also go back to maybe the Wild Wild West because
Mm-hmm.
that is a run that they could pull
Yep.
from. But not all of these are necessarily.
Have a
They're all
comic
part of
run.
the What If run, but not
Right.
necessarily they have their own unique run. Well, any thoughts?
I liked what I saw. 3 seasons is a good run.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing if they don't bring it back, again, and maybe even a shorter run format. Or maybe a little mini movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the fun thing is, another fun thing is, because we get these combinations that you're like, wait, what? They have rewatchability because then you can look at and listen for other like Easter eggs and stuff like that. So like when
Mm-hmm.
Storm shows up, we get a little bit of the '90s X-Men theme song. When Riri Williams is desperately trying to uh, build her device to try and destroy uh, the White Vision, she mentions reversing the polarity.
Yes. I was like, ooh, that was a Doctor Who reference. I
I'm
got
like,
that one.
yes. So, yeah.
Cue the Captain America. I got that reference. I
Mhm.
understood that.
We don't know necessarily what exists in other universes
Right,
as
exactly.
far as pop culture and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So that could be, maybe Doctor Who exists in that world.
Exactly. Maybe Shields teamed up with Unit.
Yeah. Oh my god, that has so much potential.
Could you see Coulson meeting the Brig or Brig meeting Fury?
Mm. Now, Unit, I would say Unit was not part of it, at least not the part that I read, but I have read fan fiction
Mm-hmm.
where they have crossed over the MCU with Doctor Who. So,
Ooh. Links, please. Links,
yeah,
please, if and when you get the chance.
yeah. This was a long time ago. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
But yeah. So yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Marvels.
Yes.
It has been fun. We appreciate it.
Yes.
So, and thank you to all of the FCU stars who have come back to voice their characters. I mean, even when this started, if we look at like the list on IMDb and be like, oh, that person came back. That obviously some of them budgetary reasons, I am sure, It's like, as much as we would have liked to have RDJ come back and voice
Oh yeah.
Tony Stark, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of zeros. Let's save that for the big screen.
Yeah.
Big screen
So,
live action.
yeah. I mean, for the most part, most everybody has come back.
Yes.
With a few exceptions, obviously RDJ being the big one. I think some of them have been not necessarily budget, maybe timing,
Right. Other
um,
projects.
other projects. Yeah, because I mean, the nice thing about voice acting, it is something you can do with a bit more flexibility as long as you have a place to record.
Right. You can do it hopefully remote.
Yeah, I mean, we learned that, and we talked about that when talking about Big Finish, during things like the pandemic, Pierre Davison converted a closet into a recording studio.
Yes.
So to be able to continue to do Big Finish during the pandemic. So, but even then, it's still based on schedule and availability. So not everybody has come back, but a good chunk of them have, and I think that's pretty awesome that some very, very big names have been willing and able to come in and voice essentially an animated version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So um so that's pretty awesome. So
Yes.
I don't know how long ago this was in production. I'd imagine been a little bit, but I mean, she doesn't have much of an appearance, but I kind of like to think that this was something Karen Gillan could do as she started to get further along in her pregnancy. So,
Yes.
she's had the baby since then, but at the time that maybe this was made, got to the point where she couldn't really go out and do much. So.
Right.
All right. Well, if any of our listeners want to give us their 2 cents on what if, or you want to make some Oscar predictions, you can do that too. I'm gonna wait till a little closer. But whatever. You can send us an email. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is the fiveishfangirls.com, where you can connect with all of our various podcast related social media accounts and our individual ones as well, although I need to do some updates. Uh so because we do have a Blue Sky. Have I posted anything on the Blue Sky? No, but we do have it.
Oh yay.
So I should probably post a link to it, and then I'd be obligated to post things on it.
Also, into it.
Yeah. Also links to, I have a Blue Sky actually as well. I do need to put my link to that and TikTok. Now that we know TikTok is sticking around for a little bit. Hopefully. I got a lot of animal fixes on TikTok. It's not just corgis. I was showing Chauncey a compilation of not polar bears, panda bears falling not gracefully whatsoever. Yeah, panda bears.
Roly-poly?
Yeah, they are not. Gravity is not their friend. So you almost wonder if they're, endangered because they're in a danger to themselves. So yeah, never seen I can't want to keep saying polar bears, panda bears with bad coordination. Look it up. It's hilarious. Don't worry, they're like giant marshmallows, and none of them got hurt. There's a lot of padding there. But anyway, website, links, social medias, all the things. Also links to the book club and ways you can financially support us, Patreon, all that fun stuff. And yeah. So and in case anybody else was wondering this, because I did get a question from someone. I won't say who because I don't know if they necessarily want me to say. But somebody inquired about the episodes posting because it's been kind of sporadic recently. Some of that's been due to technical issues. Obviously, we had the sound snafu
Yeah.
a couple episodes ago. At the moment, it all comes down to how soon I can get the episodes edited. And the thing is since the show began, I've been using the same software to do all the editing and fun stuff and creating the graphics for the episodes. When we started this, up until a year and some change ago, I had unlimited access to said software because I worked at IU. When I left IU, I lost that access. Good news is Chauncey has access to said software.
Yay!
However, it's
You
can't share it as easily with another person. And I'm
So it's
sharing with him
one
and
person
his
at a
mother.
time. Right.
Yeah. I'm
So
sharing.
basically,
We're
first
one software bundle is being shared between 3 people.
So you kind of have to like, okay, my turn from this time to this time, your turn from this time to this time.
Right. Yes. Which, if I could use it like during the day, especially early in the day, when he's asleep, that would not be a problem, except that's when I'm now at work.
Mhm.
So I get home to do recording and editing. That's prime time for when he's working. There's a lot of sticking heads indoors going, hey, are you going to be using this? So yeah. So one of these days, problem is the software is not cheap. Otherwise we would pay for another license. If anyone wants to become a really big Patreon supporter, I could buy another license and not have to share with anybody. But in the meantime, yeah, one software bundle being shared by 3 people. It all comes down to timing and or technical issues. So there's your answer. So we appreciate your patience as life has gotten very wild in the last year or so. Oh my. So this time last year I was unemployed, so I had all the time in the world. Now I'm working around a 40-hour-a-week job. Anyway, we appreciate all your support and understanding and all that fun stuff. And with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Mango saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel, Indianapolis, Indiana. If you mean to kill me, be forewarned. I know several heart-wrenching, dying monologues, and I will regale you with them. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefiveishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.